What was the moment you realized the core problem in dental practices was not just clinical but also psychological?
I looked at what was going on in the practice. Some dentists had no worries to have people accept treatment plans, and other dentists were struggling.
What does taking responsibility for your practice really mean?
The thing is that, and it's not only for dentists, it's in life in general, you create your own reality.
So, what is the journey feels like from 40% to 95% treatment acceptance?
Well, I think it starts with the power of saying no.
You talk about the power of words.
Well, there's two kind of words.
Welcome to the Dental Lens. Today's guest is not a dentist, but she might just change how you think about dentistry forever. Rika Markel is a manifestation coach and proud Proctor Gallagher consultant with over 30 years of expertise in holistic mindset to energetic alignment and the psychology of transformation. She is the creator of FTTY method and the Neuro-Linguistic Dental Solution, a groundbreaking framework that helps dentists and their teams achieve consistent high-level case acceptance through patient psychology, nervous system regulation, and dentist owner identity work. Her mission? To help dental teams detach from frustration, release the cycle of blame, and rewire how patients say yes to their health. Welcome to our podcast, Rika. I'm so glad to have you on here.
It's such an honor. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, Rika, how did your trials with dentistry start? You come from a mindset coaching world. What first drew you specifically into the dental space?
Well, I think it's a little bit the other way around. I was always very interested in mindset and how our thoughts create our reality from a very young age. But I do have a degree as a dietitian and as a healthcare professional, also healthcare management. And I got that from, I lived in Belgium for 45 years. So I run into dentistry when I married a dentist in New York. So I moved from Belgium to New York. I got immersed in dentistry. And so I always combine the two. And I know it's a little bit weird. Like it's my two passions, healthcare, helping people with their health. And if it's I worked in hospitals in Belgium, so it doesn't really matter what kind of healthcare it is. It's just helping people health wise. And then doing the mindset work and then combining those two is just very rewarding.
Yes, it is. And especially in dentistry, it is as much psychological as it is a physical work. And we hear about dental anxiety a lot more than we hear about anxiety about other procedures.
Yeah. It's interesting that when you talk about dentistry, I think most people, the first thing that they say is, oh, I don't like going to the dentist. But
Yes.
on the other hand, when they are in pain, they are like, please help me. And
Yes.
so it's like that love-hate relationship that people have with the dentist. And it also created, because that's then the mindset work, it also created like a paradigm in dentistry, the idea that patients don't like me.
Mm.
And of course, if that's your mindset that patients don't like you, that's what you are going to attract. And I know we're going to talk about that over the next hour, maybe. I don't know how far we're going to go, but I know that it is like so dual, like the fear, but also the idea that people want to get help, and then dentist with the mindset, my patient doesn't like me, and that creates like a very interesting dynamic.
Yes. Yes, it is like it is. It has been internalized. With recent years, smile transformations have become a commonplace. But before that, there was people used to come only when they were in pain, and it became to a surgical procedure like that. When
Yeah.
most people would not connect manifestation coaching with a dental practice. How did you bridge that gap?
I totally know that that's true, but I think it's the same in any profession. I believe that not only in dentistry are mindset coaches a little bit of like a woo-woo thing.
Yes.
Although lately, I think more and more and more people are become aware of how their thoughts create their reality, and how their mindset is influencing not only like when they're meditating or when they do yoga or they go to Pilates or whatever they do, but it is like a 24/7 thing. So it is my, like, I feel it like my mission, if you would call it that way, to really connect those two and to help people in general, but specifically dentists, because that's what I know the best now, um, to make them understand that understanding how your mind works, how your patient's mind works, is going to give you such advantage, not only in the market. If we talk about, because that's what it's all people are talking about, how can we grow our practice? This is a way to grow your practice, and also this is a way to help more people. And I think that that's a very important nuance, that we have to start thinking, instead of thinking how much money are we going to make, that we can think how many people are we going to help, because the money will be the byproduct of what we do in the practice. If we have a very good practice that runs smoothly, where everybody's happy, the money will follow,
Yes,
and the
yes, it is.
patients will be happy and come back and recommend their family and their friends. So mindset is such a crucial point, and they don't teach you that in dental school.
Mm. We only read about children's psychology in pediatrics, but not, adult or geriatric psychology.
Yeah,
So,
and
what
it's the
was
same
the?
in a way.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, please continue.
No, I just said, like, if we talk about children's psychology in a same, it's the same
Mhm.
way. I mean, like,
Yes.
if you are going to put time and effort in the psychology of how to treat children, you can
Hmm.
do the same with adults.
Yes, it is true. And adults are no more a child when they come to dentist. Everybody is afraid of, all the drilling and injections in the mouth, because it's the only procedure when the patient is awake and know what all is going on in their mouth. So, what was the moment you realized the core problem in dental practices was not just clinical but also psychological?
That is such a great question. I really love that question, because you see, when I entered into dentistry, I came from a different country where they have a different system, like a socialized dentistry. And then I come into the United States with dental insurance, which is not insurance, by the way, it's just a benefit, but still like a whole dynamic that was going on. And I needed to learn how this was working fast. And so I looked at what was going on in the practice, and it was very obvious to me that some dentists had no worries to have people accept treatment plan, and
Hmm.
other dentists were struggling. And when I would, as the office manager, I would present treatment plans to patients, there was no doubt in my mind, because I came from that idea that
Yes.
when you need, like, in my country, when you needed the treatment, you just took the treatment. There was no such thing as worrying about the money. And
Okay.
so in my brain, in my mindset, there was no doubt. So everybody would accept the treatment. I never had anybody say no to me.
Hmm.
And I realized that that was not normal. I went to dental meetings, and we had these conversations, and people say, what is your closing rate? And I was listening, and they said 40%, 60%. I'm like, 40%, 60%? What are you talking about? I close everything. And I know that I said that, and everyone's looking at me like, yeah, right, that
Yeah.
she's delusional. That is so not true. That is impossible. And I never thought about that. And then when I went back home, I looked at what is it that I do differently. And it had everything to do with my mindset,
Hmm.
how I spoke to people, how I made them feel. I remember that my first question, when the doctor would say, you need this and this, and then they would leave it up to me. And I would always ask, how do you feel right now? And it was such a question that they were like, how do I feel? So they went into how do I feel? And I made them feel heard and seen and understood. And that was the key. I realized that that was the key. And that's a mindset shift. That has everything to do with how our mind is operating, how our nervous system is operating. And so that's when I realized, oh my God, this is really powerful. And then I started to explain that to the team and the doctors and the new doctors and the new team members. And it became like my system, like what I what I would teach them in onboarding training, you know?
Yeah. I think it came naturally to you about uh, being
Yeah.
getting in touch with the patient's feelings, and bring it out. And when we speak to them at an emotional level, they're more open to listening to us than the logic or the finance and further. So you have started a method called FTTY. Walk
Yeah.
us through what FTTY stands for, and how would you describe the origin of the FTTY method?
Another amazing question. So when I was like an office manager, I think until August 24. Then we sold our last practice. And I still have a lot of energy and I still wanted to do something. So the idea grew to whatever I was teaching in our own little area or the people that I met um, to bring it like to make something out of it that I could, that more people could benefit from it. So I had people surrounding me like, and I was brainstorming, what are we going to do, how are we going to do this. And so the idea of fast track to yes came. So fast track to yes is the FTTY,
Okay.
because it is like when you understand how the mind works and when you understand the laws of the universe, like your own thoughts create your reality, when you understand that, then you have a fast track to yes. So whatever I bring to the table is a fast track to yes. So that's how it came into existence.
Yeah. And what does neuro-linguistic dental solution actually mean in practical terms for a dentist presenting a treatment plan?
Well, that was the what we were talking about. I spoke to a couple of the dentists that I was working with, and so they said you should call it the neuro-linguistic dental solution because you are combining neuro-linguistic neuro-linguistic patterns or procedures with dentistry. So it's like you use NLP in a way, but not the way that the real NLP would do it. So we call it neuro-linguistic dental solutions. And it was a colleague, like a dentist, that came up with a name because how do you talk about what I do? It is not something that is like mainstream. Like it's not about learning scripts for case acceptance, or it's not about role plays, or how do you sell more, like a sales course. It's none of those things. So it's hard for me to market my products and to tell people what it is exactly that I do. So we were brainstorming, and that's when the neuro-linguistic dental solution came into life, because it's all about how do you use your words, but also your whole, like your neurological system almost, to because we know like and more scientists are catching up, but we understand that like attracts like vibration. If I'm in a state of fight or flight and my patient, and I'm going to talk to my patient, they're going to go on the same level as me. Like, you know, it's like our neurological systems are going to get synchronized. So you have to understand that, like, how it started was what I also saw happening was dentists are in their left brain, left hemisphere.
There
They're
is logic.
logical,
Okay.
they're very theoretical, they have solutions, they need to be that way because
Hmm.
I would not like a dentist in their right brain, la di da,
Hmm.
doing like a root canal on me. So there is definitely a place where they need to be very logical and very technical. That's perfect. But the patient that sits in the chair is in their right brain because they are scared. They don't like going to the dentist. They're in fight or flight. So now two people that are one in the right brain, the other in left brain, they try to talk to each other and they don't even hear them. They don't even hear the other person. I witnessed multiple times a patient talking, the dentist talking. They were both talking at the same time. They didn't hear the other person. And that is what the Neuro-Linguistic Dental Solution explains, that there is no such thing that if you're a dentist and you cannot get to the level of the patient and
Hmm.
access your right brain when you talk about treatment acceptance, then they don't even hear you. They don't even know what you said.
Okay. So, but how do you practically implement it? Are there any exercises you ask them to do?
Yeah, it's a first of all, there is the understanding. So what we do during the training is I first explain exactly how that mechanism works, like right brain, left brain, the
Hmm.
law of vibration, the law, all the laws of frequency. So I explain all the, let's say, theory, because
Hmm.
the mind wants to understand. Mind
Hmm.
has like it's the precursor of action. You need to know what's really going on. And then the second part is a little bit more self introspection
Okay.
because you need to know who you are. You need to know what you are bringing to the table because the whole room is going to be affected by your state of being. So, again, still nothing to do with case acceptance. Okay. So, has everything to do with understanding how it works on a theoretical level, then doing the introspection. Where am I? Am I in fight or flight? Most people in this world now, they're in fight or flight constantly. Anxiety, stress. They have no idea what to do. So if you're in that state, there's no way that you will have 100% case acceptance. And so the third step is the tools on how do I regulate my nervous system? And then as a second part, how do I set up the practice that it is like that we can all get in the flow state? Like it starts with the first phone call and it ends when people pay for their procedures.
You talk about the power of words. Like, can you give us a real example of a phrase most dentists say that secretly is killing their case acceptance?
Well, there's two kind of words that we speak. Is the words that we speak to our patients, to our staff, the words that you hear, and there are the words that you speak in your own mind. And
Hmm.
so the words that we speak, we have to be very aware of it because let's say Mrs. Smith comes in, has an appointment, and the the front desk person already said, "Oh, Mrs. Smith is coming in, but he's always late."
Hmm.
He's always late. So if you're going to say he's always late, guess what? He's going to be late. So that's the power of your words. Your words create your reality. If you keep saying that Mr. Smith is going to be late, he's going to be late. Or a doctor says, oh, Amy's coming in today. She needs so much work, but she can't afford it.
Hmm.
Well, if that's what you believe, that Amy can't afford it, well, Amy will not be able to afford it. So that's the words that we speak. But then also how you speak to yourself, what your thoughts are telling you is so powerful. And so I always invite people to examine their own thoughts. What are you thinking? And then whatever you think about is going to come about.
Uh, One book that became pretty famous was The Secret. That book started this trend of manifestation, I would say. That was the first, even
Yeah.
my tries with the manifestation world was the book. Do you think it is really beneficial? I mean to say, like, does it really work that way?
Well, I think The Secret was an amazing opener
Hmm.
to talk about the law of attraction. And so the teachers and the people that were featured in The Secret, they're all teachers of mine. Like I definitely am, um, I definitely listen to podcasts of all of them. And I think The Secret was really necessary in that moment. And what it was talking about was all about the science of getting rich from
Hmm.
Wallace D. Wattles, which Rhonda Byrne
Yes.
discovered and then puts it into the movie and the book The Secret. And Rhonda Byrne wrote more books, but then she also wrote like the Secret, the next volume on The Secret. It just slips my mind now, but which was very interesting because there she speaks way more on the how. Like, because The Secret was just talking about the law of attraction, that it
Yeah.
exists, but it didn't really explain to people how do you
Yes.
work with the law of attraction. And
Hmm.
so the law of attraction, like Bob Proctor, my mentor, would say, is a secondary law. It's not the primary law. The primary law is the law of vibration. Everything vibrates, nothing rests. And the law of attraction says like attracts like. Whatever you vibrate, like you attract same vibrations. And so I think it was a very good opener, but it was on the surface. It was like first level information getting out. If you really want to work with the law of attraction, by the way, it's the same as the law of gravity. People, you don't have to believe in it. The law of attraction is just a law of the universe. It works if you want it or not. It just, so it's better to understand the law of attraction
It's
than it's
not.
the same as law of gravity. No, yeah, you know, if you're gonna jump off a building, God forbid, that you're gonna go down. You can
Hmm.
say, I don't believe in the law of gravity, but it's going to work on you. And it's the same with the law of attraction. You can say, I don't believe in the law of attraction. That's fine, but it's going to do its job on you. So you better understand how it works.
Yes, I think The Secret was the introduction to the law of manifestation, or attraction, as we say, because that was the time it became very popular and got many mainstream people thinking about it. But as you said, it may work like without us even knowing about it. But how do we,
Yeah.
implement this in a dental practice? We don't have that much time. Like in a 10 minute, you maybe you have 10 minutes. You talk with the patient and convince them, or tell them the options. So how do you get the nervous system regulation in those 10 minutes?
Well, it's all about how you set everything up. It's not in those 10 minutes. It starts with how you set up the practice. And
Mhm.
you have to set it up in a way that when a patient calls on the phone to make the appointment, that's where it starts. If the person that is picking up the phone is regulated, has a regulated nervous system, and is going to ask you the right questions, is going to make you feel comfortable, if they're gonna make you feel heard and seen and understood, the patient is already gonna come in with a total different idea than when they are like, and we have to be brutally honest about that. The first
Yes.
encounter with a dental office is not always that simpatico,
Yes.
because the people that pick up the phone, they're in a hurry, they have somebody standing in front of their nose, there's a doctor whispering in their ear that what needs to be done. They're like overwhelmed with all the people that are pushing and pulling on them. And now they also have to pick up the phone and be patient and be nice and be gentle and be whatever with. So we
Hmm.
are asking sometimes way too much. It's impossible to do that. So you have to create the environment in your practice. You have to be willing to rethink how things are done. You have to be willing to crush the paradigm, the dental paradigm on how things should be done. There is
Mm-hmm.
another way.
Yes. Like how what's happening inside a patient's nervous system? They sit in the dental chair, as you say, their thoughts are, based on fear mostly, if they came in pain. So, how does that affect their willingness to accept the treatment?
Well, the minute you have a patient in fight or flight,
Mm.
their whole nervous system is only thinking about surviving. It's
Yes.
like there is no space for creation, for thinking about solutions, or
Mm.
even saying yes to treatment. There cannot be a yes. So it just doesn't work. Like they can't, like physically, they cannot say yes to you. And if they say yes under pressure, they will not show up. They will cancel. This is the reason why people cancel, because they didn't say yes consciously. They said yes because the only thing they were thinking, how can I get out of this room as fast as possible? If saying yes is the way to get out, they will say yes. They're never coming back.
Yes. It's like, the game theory also, like you have to appeal to their inner mind, or make them feel safe first, then talk about,
Yeah.
accepting the treatment or anything else. You mentioned dentist owner identity. What identity shift do most dentists need to make to hit a 95% acceptance rate?
The biggest shift that they have to make is that is possible. They have to really believe that it is possible. And they have to, like in the dental industry, a dentist comes out of dental school and they take on everything that is said already in dentistry. There's an
Mm.
issue with insurances. Patients are afraid. People don't apply, they don't come back. Like they get trained by all the issues that there are in dentistry.
Mm.
If you like, it's the same thing. You are, let's say, a restaurant owner. So now
Mm.
you're a chef and the chef wants his own restaurant and everybody's going to say, yeah, but you need this huge investment and it's going to be hard and you can't do it and patients are going to show up. If you start your restaurant with that mindset, it's never going to happen. So you have to own the dentist owner identity. I work with both dentists that want to be an associate, never want
Mm.
to be an owner, and I work with dentists who want to be an owner. And it's
Okay.
a total different consciousness. But a lot of dentists don't even understand that they have a choice, that
Mm.
there is such a thing as being a thriving dentist as an associate, or there is such a thing as being a single dentist owner success story. It
Mm.
happens. Both. It's all good scenarios. But the problem is that when you get through dental school, nobody talks about what kind of dentist do you want to be. They do
Yes.
talk about, do you want a specialist? Do you want to stay a GP? Do you want to specialize? Do you want to become a pediatric dentist? All those choices are there. But they don't ask, what's your identity as a dentist?
Mm.
Which dentist identity are you taking on? What do you want? What do you really, really want? And most
Mm.
dentists don't think about that. And that's where I come in to, when there's a lot of anxiety about their identity. I'm in an associate position, but I really don't like it because I want to make the decisions myself. Well, maybe it's time for you to step into your owner dentist identity. Or maybe people say, well, they push me to buy my own practice, but I don't feel like it. Well, maybe it's time to step into your associate identity and do it with 100% motivation and passion.
True. And it's like you can have the ownership of your career even if you are out of the dental clinic. But I think if you have an ownership of your own career, then also you can navigate the dentistry easily.
Yeah, exactly. So when you own, when you are authentic with your patients, there is no, then you have that, there's no reason. It's only when people feel like something's off that they don't
Mm.
apply, that they say no to that, to treatment. But when you are authentic and you're standing there in your identity, there's nobody's going to say no to you, because you will attract the people that are supposed to be with you.
I think what you're saying is it starts with the dentist mindset more than the patient's mindset. That is what I gathered
Yeah,
in our conversation till now. Yeah. So, is there a difference
yeah,
in how you
exactly,
train?
100%.
Is there a difference in how
Sorry.
you train the front desk versus the clinical team when it comes to the patient communication?
Absolutely. In a way, it's the same, because the theory about the nervous system, the all those things are the same,
Hmm.
but there is a difference between the roles that we have. When you are front desk, you are not the dentist. It's the same thing. Own your identity as a front desk employee, team member. You are like, it's so, the front desk for me is one
Hmm.
of the most important roles in an office,
Yes.
because it's there where it's the heart. And I'm not saying that the dentist is not the center of the universe, but
They are
the
your people.
without it, it really needs to be strong at the front desk, and strong in the sense of making people feel comfortable. And also, I think one of the jobs that I did really well, just, I don't want to blow my own horn, but one thing, just from a human point of view, is that I treated every patient as if they were my mother, my brother, my sister, my child. I treated them as if, or I spoke to them as if I was talking to my family. The same way, I promise you, I was very, very open with my patients, and I loved making that connection on a human level. Had nothing to do with, like, I would say, if a dentist just poured like a very complex treatment plan on somebody, I would say, how do you feel? What did you really understand of what he said? Like, do you really understand it? Because sometimes I would listen to the doctor and I wouldn't understand. I'm like, what is he talking about now? And I'm in dental for a while now, okay? And I still don't understand 100%. I'm like, if I don't understand it, how can the patient understand it? And that's what the front desk sometimes misses, the humanness. You don't have to know it all. We are not trained dentists, so we don't have to act like one. We have to be, if we at the front desk don't, you know how many times I had to ask a doctor, and I'm not ashamed to say that, doctor, can you explain it to me again? What is it exactly that you want to do for Mrs. Smith? Can you say it again to me? And then when I could understand it, then I could talk to
Hmm.
Mrs. Smith and explain it in human language. And I think that's what I did really, really well. I connected with the patient on a human level, not on a dentist technical level.
And even when dentists tell them they come to the front desk and confirm that whether the dentist said the right thing or not. So I think they connect with the
Yeah,
front people
exactly.
more. Having a warm
It's the
relationship with the
funniest thing.
front desk. Yeah. Having a
Yeah,
warm relationship with the dentist, with the front desk, helps a lot if they develop a warm relationship with the patients, and
yeah.
as you said, make them feel welcome to
Yeah,
the
it's
practice and everything.
So to say it like if I would train them differently, absolutely. I would explain to them how important they are, that they don't have to have all the answers, that they have to just be themselves. Like there,
Yes.
there's so much value in, of course you have to hire the right, like I'm just
Yes.
gonna start with the idea that you hired the right person. But once you hire the right person, they have to be they have to feel like they're also valued, same thing as the patient. They need to be valued and they need to take their space, they need to take their identity. So I will definitely get that
Mm.
out of them. Like I would work with them so that we know that they also know who they are in the practice.
I don't take it as just a receptionist job, but something that is going to help other people with their pain or their smile transformation. So you are a Bob Proctor consultant. Am I telling it right?
Correct.
Yeah. So Bob Proctor's teachings are at the core of your work. What is the one principle from his philosophy that dental teams apply almost immediately?
uh, Again, like a very good question. Absolutely. So Bob Proctor studied Think and Grow Rich, the book from Napoleon Hill, for 60 years or more, 60
Mm.
plus years. Every day he would study out of the book Think and Grow Rich. And I would recommend everybody to read that no matter where you are in your life. Um, and so one of the things that he would say is when you can hold it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. Like if you can imagine what you really want, he would say, "Tell me what you want, and I show you how to get it." That was one of his things, like to his people. Tell me what you want, and I show you how to get it. And the main thing is, and that's the first thing that I would, and it's the same, comes back to identity. What do you really want? If you ask people, what do you really want? They
Mm.
usually can't tell you. And then if you ask, if they say, yeah, I do, and did you write it down? Do you have it somewhere on a paper? Nobody has it on a paper. So I think everybody understands if you don't where you're going, you're never going to get there. So it's very important to understand yourself, to know yourself, and to know what you really want. And I think that's the first thing that I would say to a dentist. What do you really want?
Start with you before starting with you know trying to change the team.
Yeah, maybe.
So what does taking responsibility for your practice really mean, and what are dentists usually blaming instead?
That's a very it's a very easy question to answer, but you
Mm.
don't make yourself popular with the answer. The thing is that, and it's not only for dentists, it's in life in general,
Mm.
you create your own reality. Meaning, if it all goes wrong in your dental practice, you're the
Mm.
problem and nobody else. And so it's very hard for people to hear that. And it's definitely hard for dentists to hear that because, in their logic, in their left brain, that doesn't make sense
Mm.
because it's the insurance and it's the patients that get more complicated, and you can't find staff, and there are no good people anymore, and it's too expensive, and all the reasons. And then there are other dentists who take responsibility for every step in their office and they are thriving. Because the good news is that if it's all your fault, then you're also 100% capable of changing it. That's the great news. It doesn't, nobody else is going to come and save you. You have to do it. And you don't have to do it alone. Not saying that. It's not that you have to start now also picking up the phone and that you have to do it. But again, what do you really want? There it starts. And then you have to believe it and go for it and then build it.
Can you share a transformation story, a dental practice that went through your method and what actually changed for them?
It's I now have to think about all the whole thing because it's not just one story. Okay. So it
Hmm.
is really, and I had a conversation the other day with one of my clients. And so she says, it's not like you have like the big breakthrough. Like people say, oh my God, like all of a sudden the next day you start
Same.
making 10 times more money. It's not how it works. It works like slowly, step by step. But if you look back, let's say 6 months, you're 6 months in the new way of thinking, and you look back and say, oh my God, were we struggling with that? That's weird. You don't even realize how much you jumped. So to talk about the transformation story, on a personal level, I think that one of the doctors I worked with, he really had a scarcity mindset, thinking about my patients cannot afford the treatment. We're in the middle of big city, it's very expensive. My patients cannot afford it. And
Hmm.
he had that idea. And I told him, I said, if you have that idea, that's what's going to happen. So I started working with his patients, and everybody said yes. And it was big treatment plans because he had an older population that was coming in, and we did really beautiful work. And he says, I cannot believe that these people said yes. I said, yeah, because you think they don't have the money, but who are you to talk about other people's finances? You don't know. You don't know. You have no clue what these people can and cannot do, but you assume, you make assumptions, but they're not true. And then he
Hmm.
realized that what I said was true, and he started to change his whole mindset about around that. And within a couple of months, he was the one closing effortlessly. So that was on a personal level. But on a practice level, it is also the whole thing, know thyself, know what your own paradigms are, know what your own limitations are, your own programming. So we always work on an office goal and a personal goal
Hmm.
in the program. And so one of the assistants took as a personal goal that he wanted to run a marathon much faster than what he was doing. And I don't know anything about marathons. Don't make me quote his times because I can't. But he wanted to run much faster. So 6 weeks in the program, he had another marathon. And he even exceeded far what he had in his goal. And he comes back on Monday in the office and said, guys, you have no idea. You don't understand. I run so much better. This is amazing. And just that idea changed the whole dynamic in the office because all of a sudden everybody was involved in the success of somebody else, which is so like such high energy, such a high vibration, like celebration. And those things, even if it had nothing to do with the practice was like was rewarded with that energy. And so everything was smooth, everything run, everything was everybody was invested. So it also changes the dynamic in between the team, which is amazing.
So, how long does your training last?
Well, I have a couple of different options. So I have like people can make their feet wet and have like a mini course where you can go through fast and then see how the basic principles are, because I have to really crack like a shell. Like most dentists, they will rather spend their time on CEs because I have no CEs to offer. But they
Mm,
want the Cs, and they want to see the role plays and the scripts and what they read, but it doesn't work anyway. So I have to crack that shell so people can put their feet in, like with a little mini course. And then I have training for the team, which
mm,
is just like a 5 week course where I go through all those little what we discussed, but more in detail, of course. And so just to train the team on fast track to yes. And then I have the identity program where dentist practice owners can choose if they go through it themselves alone or with the whole team. And that is there I take Bob Proctor's idea, thinking into results. I use that and I adapted it for thinking into dental teams. And that's a
okay.
6 months coaching program. So that's the three, like put in your feet, have you, because a lot of dentists say, I don't want to have anything to do with it. But
Yeah.
train my team. In the beginning, I didn't want to deal with that, but it's a way of getting them interested, because once they see how it works, then they start,
Yeah.
then they're more open to listen to this possibility.
Like once the award goes on in the course, then and see the transformations, then obviously like they would want that for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Correct.
Do you recommend any book like like one book that everyone should read or every dentist should read?
I think one of my favorites, and has nothing to do with dentistry, but I think is, besides all the regular normal self-improvement books, but I think my biggest breakthroughs for in my own personal life came when I started reading the books from Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Okay.
Um, and now I would say it out, but I didn't think about this before, so I should say it. Changing the habit of being yourself is one of them, and then the other one, You Are the Placebo. Like he has 3 or 4 books, and they explain exactly
Okay.
how the mind fools you, and
Mm,
like how you can it has he explains the neuroscience behind this whole
yeah.
idea of fast track to yes, in a way.
Okay.
And he's definitely a person who will recommend to meditate, and meditation is one of the meditation has many forms. So I
Mm,
teach a couple of forms of meditation as tools in the practice to really support that whole nervous system regulation.
that's really good to know. So, what is the journey feels like from 40% to 95% treatment acceptance actually look like over time?
Well, I think it starts with the power of saying no. It is something that I just wrote my next newsletter about that,
Okay.
because it's very interesting. Like, what is the journey? And I had the same thing last week, and because on Monday I usually launch my next newsletter, and I talk about a topic that has to. And so the power of saying no. Like, if you want to get to 100% case acceptance, then you have to work with the people that are um, aligned with your doctor identity, because otherwise, if you are um, a Michelin star restaurant, and so it's this is the example that I use in my newsletter. If you're a Michelin star restaurant and a guest comes in and says, "Can I get the McDonald's burger?" then you're going to say to
Mm,
this to this client, you're gonna say, "I'm sorry, but we don't serve McDonald's because we are a Michelin star restaurant," and you're just gonna repel the client. In dentistry, we have the tendency of to say, come on in, we'll try, we'll figure it out." And so now you have somebody sitting in your restaurant thinking that they're gonna get a McDonald's burger, and now they get a burger totally like that a chef would make in a first in a star restaurant. They're not happy. Now it's even more expensive than the burger. So these people are going to be very unsatisfied clients. So, but
Mm.
that's what we do in dentistry. So we have to be willing first to say no. Certain patients don't belong in our practice. They belong with somebody else, which is totally fine. Totally. Everybody needs a dentist.
So, one word patients say the dentist misinterpret or as rejection, but actually it is not.
I have to think about it.
Mm.
It's like, it's not one word, it's like a sentence, but it's like a doctor that says they need to think about, oh, they're not going to do it.
Mm.
This is the best outcome you're going to get when people are in fight or flight and realize that they need they need the procedure, but they can't say yes because they're so in fight or flight, they're so overwhelmed, and they say I have to think about it, which is like for them saying, I first need to calm down, I need to regulate my nervous system, I need to
Mm.
be like the um I my God, I can't come to the word, like the animal that was chased and I have to go and graze in the on the
Mm.
field again. I need to come to rest. And then they say, and so the dentist thinks they're never gonna do it. So their mindset already ruins the whole thing. And this is when the patient says, I need to think about it. That's where the front desk has a big job to do. And so that's also
Follow.
what I teach, how to deal with that.
So, what follow up methods do you suggest dental practices make?
What do you mean with follow up? Like for patients that don't say yes right away?
Yes.
Okay. In my practices where I worked, when patients needed like substantial work and they said, I have to think about it, I made
Mm.
another appointment right away with me, not with the doctor, but with the treatment plan coordinator or and then I would say, what do you need from me so that you can that you can make a decision? You need me to speak to your husband, you need me to go over the treatment plan again. Let's set another appointment next week or tomorrow or whenever you feel in that moment is right. And you
Mm.
come back to the office. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk about it again. So I don't let them off the hook. I don't say, I'll call you. Don't do
Mm.
that. That's my recommendation. And I understand a lot of people that I say that to, they say, well, that's so we don't have time for that. It's not possible. You need to change how you do things, and then you will have the time to do so. And I think that that is good patient care.
Yes. Like it's a little commitment the patient is making to the practice of coming again. And until then, they will clear their mind and have new questions if they have any doubts and all. I think it's a great method to do it. And if you have to find time or someone who has time to do this, you cannot say you don't have time in the
Yeah.
practice.
And I also give them homework. Like you have to get them out of their own. It's like it's all in what I teach. But
Hmm.
and I also have a very good questionnaire that we
Hmm.
start with to get to know the patient before they get into the chair. Like we know the patient in and out before they get into the chair. We already know what's going to happen. We already know their nervous system, where they are. But
Okay.
what I do also is, and it really works. Like I would say, listen, and if you have questions, I don't want you to put them in your head. I need you to put your questions on a paper with a pen. Don't put them on your iPad. Don't put them in your phone. Don't I want you to really write them down. I need you to sit and write down your questions and then
Mm,
bring that paper to me. And then we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about those because when you do that, when people, it's like a trick that I learned from Bob Proctor. You take the idea out of your head and you
mm,
put it with a pen or a pencil on a white paper. When you do that, you take the stress out of your head and you put it on a paper. And in this time and age, we type and we do, and it is so powerful to
mm,
put pen to paper. And I it's one of those things that I always did, and it works because people take their worries and they put them on a paper, and now they become your problem too. So now that you share something with them because you say, I'm going to answer all of your questions on that paper. So
mm.
now they feel they're not alone anymore. I
Yes.
said, nothing is a problem. Don't think about it too long. Just write it down. I heard it all. There's nothing that you can tell me that is going to upset me or that it's not going to be. I said, write it down. And I
And
promise you, it does
mm,
wonders.
they get more clarity about it, and when they do the practices, they get more time to think about it. I think it's a great
Yeah,
method to get them thinking about what is really stopping them from getting the treatment.
yeah. And what I also say is you can Google it, but don't waste your time. Just put
Mm,
because you're gonna go crazy. You don't talk about it with too many people. This is between you and I. Just put it on a paper, and if we need to we have to get more of the doctor's time, I'll get that for you. And
yeah.
it's like, they have to get like somebody who is in it with them.
Yeah. Like some accountability and a partner or
Yeah,
an advocate for
yeah,
them. They should feel that you are advocating for the patient.
yeah, yeah.
The one habit every dentist should drop before walking into their next consultation.
That's such a good question. I already see some dentists like commenting, she's crazy. But okay, I'll tell you. I think the one habit that they should drop is they let me put it differently. They shouldn't drop anything. What they should do is really take a deep breath and
Mm,
allow themselves to regulate their nervous system before they go in. Like take a 5-second break in between. Like even if they just stand in the hallway and breathe 3 times in and
mm,
out. Breathe in 4 times, breathe out 6 times, and then go into the next because they're going to, instead of rushing, doctor, we need you there, like they rush from one operatory to the other, and they're also like full of anxiety. So that's what you bring into the operatory. So what they should leave outside is their own anxiety.
true. Like get some space to breathe. They are not overwhelmed with emotions or physical pressure.
Correct.
So where can dentists find you and to work with you and start with the FTTY method?
So I have I have a website where they can find me, mindfuldentistry.live. And I have also like they on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Mindful Dentistry, but I'm also on my own name. Everything
Yes,
I do breeds dentistry. I can't, and I am on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is maybe the easiest way.
yes,
Rika
yeah.
Markel on LinkedIn, and there I have most of my tools.
Yeah, we will drop in the description about how they can get in touch with you if they are interested.
Thank you
So,
so much. Appreciate it.
coming to the final thought, like what do you want every dentist listening to walk away believing after this episode? The biggest takeaway from this episode should be.
I think that my big message is that dentistry is a wonderful profession, and the idea that there is so much anxiety, and there's so many dentists that are like what Dr. Paul Goodman from Dental Nachos would say, they're crying inside. I think that one thing that I am advocating for is the idea that it doesn't have to be that way. It is like we have to do whatever we can to bring it to the level that dentistry need to be. Not all the things that are not good, but we have to think about all the things that we do in dentistry that are amazing. We help people with their oral health, which is so important. We help people eat again. We help them smile again. We help them look beautiful, gorgeous, feel beautiful and gorgeous. We help them prevent other diseases. Um, it is such a beautiful profession, and I think we need to bring that vibe back.
And thank you for coming on my podcast and sharing your FTTY method and other things. Like, I really it opened my eyes regarding the mindset, because it is the least talked about thing in dentistry, and especially for dentists themselves. Even we talk about the mindset of the patients and their anxiety levels, but we never talk about the dental mindset of the dentists themselves. So thank you for sharing your the manifestation and everything, all the beliefs and all the steps that you have shared with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. I truly appreciate it.